The alarm rang through every room of the Velthari command station. Red lights flashed on walls and screens. Officers ran to their posts with fear in their eyes. Admiral Crick stood at the center of the main control room. His blue skin turned pale. His four eyes stared at the screen in front of him. "Confirm the reading," he ordered. His voice shook slightly. A young officer named Tella worked fast on her console. Her hands trembled as she checked the data again and again. "Confirmed, Admiral. It is a human battleship, Class Titan. It just came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Sector 7. The room went silent. Every officer stopped moving. They all knew what this meant. A human battleship had entered the space of the Great Velthari Empire. This had never happened before. The humans had their own territory far away. They never came to this part of the galaxy. Until now. Admiral Crix walked closer to the main screen. The image showed a ship unlike anything the Velthari had ever built. It was massive. It was black like the space around it. Red lights glowed along its sides. The ship looked like a weapon made solid. It looked like death waiting to happen. "How did they get past our outer sensors?" Crix asked. "Unknown, Admiral. They appeared with no warning. Our long-range detection systems did not see them coming." Crix felt cold fear in his chest. The Velthari Empire controlled 40 star systems. They had been the masters of this region for 3,000 years. They had defeated every enemy. They had conquered every race that stood against them. But humans were different. Crix remembered the reports from the war that happened 20 years ago. It was not the Velthari who fought the humans. It was the Draxian collective. The Draxians were a warrior race. They loved battle. They had the largest fleet in the known galaxy. When they discovered the humans, they saw them as easy prey. Humans were a young species. They had only traveled among the stars for 200 years. The Draxians thought the war would be quick and simple. They were wrong. The humans did not fight like other species. They did not follow the rules of galactic warfare. They did not meet their enemy in open space for honorable battle. Instead, they attacked supply lines. They destroyed communication stations. They sent small ships deep into Draxian space and bombed their homeworlds. The Draxians lost half their fleet in the first year. By the second year, they were begging for peace. The humans gave them peace, but they took 3 star systems as payment. The Draxians never recovered. Now they were a broken race, living in fear and shame. "Send a message to the Emperor immediately," Crick said. "He must know about this." "Already done, Admiral. The Emperor is waiting to speak with you." A new screen came to life. The face of Emperor Valthos appeared. He was old. His blue skin had turned gray with age, but his 4 eyes were still sharp and intelligent. "I have seen the reports," the Emperor said. "What is your assessment, Admiral?" "Your Majesty, we do not know why the humans are here, but we must prepare for the worst. I recommend we send every available ship to Sector 7. We need to show strength." The Emperor was quiet for a moment. "Do you think that will stop them?" Crix did not know how to answer. The truth was terrible. The Velthari had a large fleet. They had hundreds of warships, but they had never fought humans. They had only heard stories, and the stories were frightening. Humans were not like other species. They came from a world that was dangerous and wild. Their planet had extreme weather, deadly animals, and diseases that could kill in days. Yet humans survived. They did more than survive. They became the most dangerous creatures on their world. They hunted every predator. They conquered every land. They even changed their own planet to suit their needs, and they brought that same energy to space. "I do not know, Your Majesty," Crix admitted, "but we must try." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Send the fleet. But Admiral, do not attack first. We do not want a war with humanity. If they want something, we will negotiate. We will give them what they want if we must." Crix felt surprise at these words. The Emperor of the Velthari, bowing to another species. This was unthinkable. But Crix understood. The Emperor was wise. He knew that pride was less important than survival. "Yes, Your Majesty. I will handle this personally." "Good. May the ancient gods protect us all." The screen went dark. Crix turned to his officers. "You heard the Emperor. Prepare every ship. We leave in 1 hour." As the officers rushed to obey, Crix looked at the image of the human battleship once more. It had not moved. It just sat there at the edge of their space, waiting. What did the humans want? Why were they here? These questions burned in Crix's mind. Across the galaxy, news was spreading fast. Other races had their own spy networks. They all heard about the human ship in Veltari space. and they all felt the same fear. The Torani Federation called an emergency meeting. The Syndicate of Free Worlds went into high alert. The Kreth Assembly closed their borders completely. Everyone was watching. Everyone was waiting. A single human battleship had entered one empire's territory, and the whole galaxy was afraid. On the human ship, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge. She looked at the stars through the main window. Her face was calm. Her eyes were steady. "Captain, the Velthari have detected us," her first officer reported. "They are sending a fleet." Sarah nodded. "Good. Let them come. We are not here to fight." "Then why are we here, Captain?" Sarah turned to look at her officer. A small smile appeared on her face. "We are here to deliver a message that will change everything." She did not explain more. She simply looked back at the stars and waited for what was coming next. The Velthari fleet moved through space like a swarm of angry insects. 120 warships traveled together. Their engines burned bright blue against the darkness. Admiral Crix commanded them from his flagship, the Emperor's Fury. It was the largest ship in the Velthari Navy. It had weapons that could destroy a small moon. But even sitting in his command chair, Crix did not feel safe. 3 days had passed since the human ship arrived. In that time, it had done nothing. It had not moved. It had not sent any messages. It simply waited at the edge of Sector 7 like a patient hunter. "Admiral, we are 2 hours from contact," Officer Teller reported. "Any response to our messages?" "No, Admiral. We have sent 17 attempts at communication. The humans have not replied." Crix felt his worry grow stronger. Why were the humans silent? Were they planning something? Or were they simply waiting to see what the Velthari would do? "Show me the ship again," Crix ordered. The main screen displayed the human battleship. Crix had studied this image many times, but it still disturbed him. The ship was called the Titan class. It was the largest type of warship humans built. According to intelligence reports, humans only had 12 of these ships. Each one was a monster of metal and fire. The ship was almost 2 kilometers long. Its armor was made from something called neutronium, a material so dense that normal weapons could not damage it. It carried over 500 weapon systems of different types: plasma cannons, missile tubes, railguns, and things the Velthari did not even have names for. But the weapons were not the most frightening part. The most frightening part was what lived inside the ship: 3,000 humans. 3,000 creatures from that deadly world called Earth. Each one trained for war. Each one ready to fight and die for their species. Humans did not surrender. They did not run. When they fought until they won, or until they were all dead. "Admiral," a communications officer called out, "the Emperor wishes to speak with you." Emperor Valthos appeared on screen once more. He looked tired. Dark circles had formed under his 4 eyes. Crix realized the Emperor had not slept since this crisis began. "Admiral, I have received disturbing news from our spy networks. The humans have moved 3 more battleships to the edge of their territory. They are watching the situation closely." Crix felt his hearts beat faster. 1 battleship was bad enough. 4 would be a disaster. Do they plan to send those ships here as well? Unknown. But it seems they are preparing for something. The Emperor paused. "Admiral, I have made a decision. If the humans want to talk, we will talk. If they want to fight, we will fight. But we cannot live in fear forever. This waiting must end." "I understand, Your Majesty." "What are your orders?" "Make contact with the human ship. Find out what they want. Use any means necessary. If they attack, defend yourself. But try to avoid starting a war." "Yes, Your Majesty." The screen went dark. Crix stood from his chair and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the window, he could see his fleet stretching out around him. So many ships. So much power. But would it be enough? On the human battleship, Captain Sarah Chen was having breakfast. She sat in the ship's cafeteria with her senior officers. They ate eggs and toast, foods that had traveled with humans since they left Earth. Some things never changed. "The Velthari fleet will be here in less than 2 hours," First Officer James Park said between bites. "They have 120 ships. Only 120? Chief Weapons Officer Maria Santos laughed. "That is almost insulting." Sarah smiled at her officer's confidence. But she knew the situation was serious. "We are not here to fight, Maria. Remember the mission." "I know, Captain. But if they want to fight, we will give them one." Sarah put down her fork and looked at her officers. They were all young. James was 32. Maria was 29. They had been born in space, raised on human colony worlds. They had never seen Earth with their own eyes, but they carried Earth in their hearts. They carried the fighting spirit of their ancestors. Let me tell you a story, Sarah said. When I was young, my grandmother told me about our history. She told me about the ancient times when humans lived only on Earth. Back then, humans were always fighting each other. Wars happened every generation. Millions died for stupid reasons. The officers listened quietly. Then we went to space. We thought space would bring peace. We thought that exploring new worlds would end our wars. We were wrong. The universe is full of species that want to conquer and kill. The Draxians proved that. They attacked us because they thought we were weak. They learned the truth too late. Sarah looked at each of her officers in turn. We are not here to start another war. We have had enough war. But we are also not here to show weakness. The galaxy needs to understand something about humans. We do not want to fight. But if someone forces us to fight, we will win. So what is our mission, Captain? James asked. You have not told us the full details. Sarah nodded. It was time for her crew to know the truth. We received intelligence 3 months ago. The Velthari Empire is planning something big. They are building a new weapon, something that can destroy entire planets. They plan to use it against the Taurani Federation first. Then they will use it against other races. Eventually, they will turn it against us. The officers exchanged worried looks. We are here to stop that from happening. Not through war, but through fear. The Velthari must understand that if they use this weapon, if they start a campaign of destruction across the galaxy, humanity will respond. We will not sit back and watch innocent species die. So we are here to threaten them? Maria asked. We are here to give them a choice. They can abandon their weapon and live in peace. Or they can continue their plan and face the consequences. James leaned forward. Do we have proof of this weapon? Yes. We have detailed plans that our spies stole from Velthari research stations. We know where the weapon is being built. We know when they plan to finish it. And if they refuse to stop? Sarah's face became hard. Then we will destroy the weapon ourselves. And we will destroy anyone who tries to stop us. The room was silent. The officers understood now. This was not a simple show of force. This was an ultimatum. The fate of many worlds depended on what happened next. Finish your breakfast, Sarah said. Then report to battle stations. The Velthari fleet will be here soon. And things are going to get very interesting. As her officers left, Sarah remained at the table. She looked at her reflection in the window. She saw a woman who carried a heavy burden. Millions of lives rested on her shoulders. One wrong move could start a galactic war. One right move could save countless innocent people. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then she stood and walked to the bridge. It was time to face the Velthari Empire. It was time to show the galaxy what humans were truly made of. The Velthari fleet arrived at Sector 7 and spread out in battle formation. Admiral Crix watched from his command chair as his ships took their positions. They formed a great arc around the human battleship, surrounding it on all sides. 120 warships against one. The numbers should have made Crix feel confident. They did not. The human ship still had not moved. It floated in space like a sleeping beast. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the light from distant stars. The red glow from its weapon systems pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. All ships in position, Admiral, Teller reported. Weapons are ready. Shields at full power. Good. Crick stood up and straightened his uniform. Open a communication channel. Wide broadcast. Make sure they hear us. Channel open, Admiral. Crix took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide everything. Human vessel, this is Admiral Crix of the Velthari Empire. You have entered our space without permission. This is a violation of galactic law. You will explain your presence immediately, or we will consider it an act of war. Silence. The seconds passed slowly. Every officer on the bridge held their breath. Then the screen crackled with static. A human face appeared. It was a woman with dark hair and calm eyes. She wore a uniform with golden symbols on the shoulders. Her expression showed no fear, no worry, nothing but quiet determination. Admiral Crix, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Battleship Prometheus. Thank you for coming to meet us. Crix felt surprise at her words. She thanked them? This was not what he expected. Captain Chen, you have not answered my question. Why are you here? I am here to deliver a message from the United Human Alliance. A message for Emperor Valthos and the entire Velthari Empire. Then deliver your message and leave. The human captain smiled slightly. It is not that simple, Admiral. This message must be heard by the Emperor himself, and it must be heard by witnesses from other galactic powers. We have already sent invitations to the Taurani Federation. the Syndicate of Free Worlds, and several other governments. They are sending representatives as we speak. Crix felt anger rising in his chest. You dare to summon other powers to our territory? This is an insult. No, Admiral. This is a public matter. What I have to say affects every species in this region of the galaxy. It would be wrong to keep it private. Crix turned to Tella. Is this true? Are other ships coming? Tella checked her sensors. Her face became pale. Yes, Admiral. I am detecting ships from the Torani Federation approaching from Sector 8. Ships from the Syndicate are also on the way, and there are more coming from other directions. This was a nightmare. Crix had come here with a fleet to intimidate one human ship. Now he was surrounded by representatives from every major power in the region. Whatever the humans were planning, it was bigger than he thought. Admiral, Captain Chen continued, I suggest you contact your Emperor. He will want to be part of this conversation. Crix wanted to refuse. He wanted to order his ships to attack, but he knew he could not. If he started a fight now, in front of witnesses from across the galaxy, the Velthari Empire would be seen as aggressors. That could turn every power against them. Very well, Crix said through gritted teeth. I will contact the Emperor. But know this, human. If this is some kind of trick, you will regret it. No tricks, Admiral, only truth. The communication ended. Crix immediately called Emperor Valthos. When the Emperor heard about the situation, his face showed a mixture of worry and curiosity. What do you think they want? The Emperor asked. I do not know, Your Majesty, but they have turned this into a public event. They want the whole galaxy to hear their message. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then let them speak. I want to know what is so important that they would risk a war to deliver it. Your Majesty, should I bring my fleet back? No. Stay where you are. Show our strength. Whatever the humans say, the galaxy must see that the Velthari Empire is not afraid. Yes, Your Majesty. Over the next several hours, ships from different species arrived at Sector 7. The Torani sent 3 diplomatic vessels. The Syndicate sent 5. The Kreth Assembly sent 2 observer ships. Even the broken Draxians sent a single old transport, curious about what their former enemies were doing. Captain Sarah watched the ships arrive with satisfaction. Her plan was working. She had turned a confrontation into a galactic conference. Now everyone would hear what she had to say. All delegations have arrived, James reported. We have representatives from 12 different governments. Perfect. Open a channel to all ships. Include the Velthari flagship and the Emperor's communication line. The main screen split into many smaller images. Sarah could see Admiral Crix, Emperor Valthos, and representatives from every species that had come to watch. Hundreds of alien eyes were looking at her. Millions more would see recordings of this moment later. Sarah stood straight and spoke clearly. Thank you all for coming. I am Captain Sarah Chen, speaking on behalf of the United Human Alliance. What I am about to say will be difficult to hear, but it must be said. She paused to let her words sink in. Then she continued. 3 months ago, human intelligence agents discovered evidence of a secret project within the Velthari Empire. A project called Operation Burning Star. On the screen, Emperor Valthos's face changed. His eyes went wide with shock and fear. He knew that name. He knew what it meant. Operation Burning Star is the development of a super weapon. A weapon that can cause a star to explode. With this weapon, the Velthari Empire could destroy any planet they choose. They could kill billions with a single attack. Voices of shock and outrage came from the other delegations. The Torani representative demanded an explanation. The Syndicate ambassador accused the Emperor of treachery. Admiral Crix sat frozen in his chair, unable to speak. We have proof, Sarah continued. Detailed plans, research data, construction schedules. The weapon is being built at a secret facility in the Velthari inner systems. It will be completed in 6 months. She let the chaos continue for a moment. Then she raised her hand for silence. Humanity does not want war. We did not come here to attack the Velthari Empire. We came here to give them a choice. They can destroy this weapon and abandon their plans, or they can continue and face the consequences. What consequences? The Torani representative asked. Sarah looked directly at Emperor Valthos. If the Velthari Empire completes this weapon, humanity will consider it a threat to all life in the galaxy. We will respond with everything we have. Our entire fleet, our best soldiers, our most powerful weapons. We will not stop until the weapon is destroyed and those responsible are brought to justice. The Emperor finally found his voice. You threaten us? You, a young species barely out of your own system? Yes, Sarah said simply. We threaten you. Because we have seen what happens when evil is allowed to grow. We have learned from our own history. We know that the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good people to do nothing. We refuse to do nothing. She looked at all the watching faces. This is our message to the galaxy. Humanity stands for peace, but we will fight for justice. We will protect the innocent, and we will never, ever back down from tyranny. The screen showed Admiral Crix receiving new orders from the Emperor. His face became dark with anger, but he did not give the command to attack. The human gamble had worked. The truth was out, and now the whole galaxy was watching to see what would happen next. The galaxy held its breath. 5 days had passed since Captain Chen revealed the truth about Operation Burning Star. In that time, everything had changed. On the Velthari homeworld, chaos ruled. Citizens filled the streets demanding answers. The Imperial Senate called emergency sessions every day. Military commanders argued about what to do. Some wanted to attack the human ship immediately. Others wanted to surrender. Nobody could agree on anything. Emperor Valthos sat alone in his throne room. He was an old man facing the end of everything he had built. His secret weapon was supposed to make the Velthari Empire unstoppable. Instead, it had made them enemies of the entire galaxy. Your Majesty. A servant entered the room. The Senate has voted. They demand that you speak to them. What do they want? They want to know if you will destroy the weapon. Valthos closed his 4 eyes. Destroy the weapon. Give up years of work. Give up the dream of Velthari dominance. The thought made him feel sick. Tell them I will speak to them tomorrow. But, Your Majesty, they are very angry. They say that if you do not act soon, other powers will attack us. The Torani have already moved warships to our border. Valthos stood suddenly. His old body shook with rage. Let them come. The Velthari Empire has never surrendered to anyone. We will not start now. But even as he spoke these words, he knew they were empty. The truth was simple and terrible. If war came, the Velthari would lose. They might defeat the Torani. They might even survive attacks from the Syndicate. But they could not defeat humanity. Nobody could defeat humanity. In Sector 7, the standoff continued. The Velthari fleet still surrounded the Prometheus, but now ships from other powers had joined them. Not to support the Velthari, to make sure they did not attack the human ship. Admiral Crix had not slept in days. He sat in his command chair, watching the screens, waiting for orders that never came. His once proud fleet was now a prisoner, surrounded by enemies on all sides. Admiral, Tella said quietly, we are receiving new reports from the homeworld. Peace. Crix laughed bitterly. A week ago, we were the masters of 40 star systems. Now our own people turn against us. What should we do, Admiral? Nothing. We wait. That is all we can do. On the Prometheus, Captain Chen was meeting with her senior officers. The situation was developing exactly as they had planned. But the most dangerous part was still ahead. The Velthari Emperor is stubborn, James reported. Our intelligence says he refuses to destroy the weapon. He thinks he can still find a way out of this. He is wrong, Maria said. He has no options left. Sarah nodded slowly. He has one option. One that I have been worried about from the beginning. What option, Captain? He could use the weapon. The room went silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The weapon was almost complete. If the Emperor became desperate enough, he might decide to use it. He might destroy a planet just to show the galaxy that he was still powerful. The weapon facility is in the Velthari inner systems, Sarah said. Our fleet cannot reach it without fighting through their entire territory. That would take weeks, maybe months. So what do we do? James asked. Sarah looked at her officers with hard eyes. We do something that no one expects. We end this now. Tonight. How? The Prometheus has one special ability that I have not told you about. An ability that was installed just for this mission. Sarah walked to a console and entered a secret code. New information appeared on the screens. The officers stared in disbelief. A phase drive? Maria whispered. I thought the technology was still experimental. It was, until 6 months ago. The Prometheus is the first ship equipped with a working phase drive. We can jump instantly to any point in space. Any point at all. James understood immediately. You want to jump directly to the weapon facility? Yes. We will appear without warning. We will destroy the weapon, and we will end this crisis before anyone else has to die. But Captain, the phase drive has never been tested in combat. We do not know if it will work. I know the risks, but the alternative is worse. If we wait, the Emperor might use the weapon. Billions could die. I will not let that happen. The officers exchanged looks. They were scared, but they trusted their captain. They had followed her through many dangers before. They would follow her through this one. When do we go? Maria asked. In 3 hours. Tell the crew to prepare for combat. This might be the hardest fight of our lives. As the officers left to carry out her orders, Sarah remained alone on the bridge. She looked at the image of the Velthari fleet surrounding her ship. In a few hours, they would be gone. They would jump through space itself and appear at the heart of the enemy empire. Success meant peace. Failure meant death. There was no middle ground. On the Velthari homeworld, Emperor Valthos made his decision. He called his most trusted generals to a secret meeting. The weapon is almost ready, he told them. In 2 days we can use it. Use it against whom, Your Majesty? A general asked. Against the humans. Their homeworld. Earth. Valthos smiled coldly. If we destroy Earth, the humans will have no choice but to surrender. Their species will be finished, and we will be the most powerful empire in the galaxy once again. The generals looked uncomfortable. One of them spoke carefully. Your Majesty, the humans have colonies on many worlds. Destroying Earth will not end them. It will break them. Earth is their heart. Without it, they will fall apart. And what about the other powers? The Torani, the Syndicate. They will attack us. Let them. By then, we will have the weapon. We can destroy any planet that opposes us. They will learn to fear us. They will learn to obey. The generals said nothing. They knew this plan was madness, but they also knew that arguing with the Emperor was dangerous. So they stayed silent and hoped for a miracle. Far away, on the Prometheus, the miracle was being prepared. 3,000 humans worked to get their ship ready for the most important mission in human history. Engineers checked the phase drive. Weapons officers loaded ammunition. Pilots practiced emergency maneuvers. Captain Sarah Chen walked through her ship, speaking to her crew, giving them courage. She saw fear in their eyes, but she also saw determination. They were ready to do whatever was necessary. Captain, James found her in the engine room. Everything is ready. We can jump in 30 minutes. Good. Sarah looked at the massive phase drive that filled the center of the room. It hummed with power, ready to bend the laws of physics. Let history record that humanity did not wait for evil to come to them. We went to meet it. Is that for the official report? Sarah smiled slightly. Maybe. If we survive to write one. She walked back to the bridge. In 30 minutes, everything would change. The Velthari Empire would face the fury of humanity, and the galaxy would see what happened when someone threatened the peace. The Prometheus jumped through space in a flash of blue light. One moment it was in Sector 7, surrounded by Velthari warships. The next moment it was deep inside enemy territory, floating above a hidden research station. Admiral Crick stared at his empty sensors in shock. The human ship had vanished. His entire fleet had been watching it constantly. Yet somehow, impossibly, it was gone. Find them, he screamed at his officers. Search every sector. They cannot just disappear. But the Prometheus was already far away. Captain Sarah Chen looked through her bridge window at the Velthari research station. It was a massive structure built inside an asteroid. Thousands of workers lived there, and somewhere inside, the star-killing weapon waited. Weapons ready, Maria reported. We have clear shots at all critical targets. Shields are holding, James added. No enemy ships detected yet. We caught them completely by surprise. Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment. Years of planning, months of preparation, all leading to this single point in time. Send a message to the station. Tell them to evacuate immediately. They have 15 minutes. Captain? Maria looked confused. We are giving them time to escape? We are not murderers. We are here to destroy a weapon, not kill innocent workers. Give them a chance to survive. The message went out. On the station, alarms began to sound. Scientists and engineers ran to escape pods. They had been told that no enemy could ever reach them. They had been wrong. On the Velthari homeworld, Emperor Valthos received the news. A human battleship had appeared at his most secret facility. His weapon was in danger. His plans were falling apart. How is this possible? He demanded. How did they get there? His advisors had no answers. Human technology had done something impossible. The Emperor realized with growing horror that he had badly underestimated his enemy. Destroy them, he ordered. Send every ship, Stop them before they reach the weapon. But it was already too late. On the Prometheus, 14 minutes had passed. Sarah watched the escape pods launching from the station. Most of the workers had gotten out. A few remained, either trapped or choosing to stay with their creation. Evacuation is almost complete, James reported. Sensors show the weapon is in the central chamber. Good. Sarah turned to Maria. Target the weapon facility. Fire when ready. Maria pressed the button. The Prometheus unleashed its fury. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missiles all fired at once. The beams of energy crossed the empty space and struck the station with terrible force. The research facility exploded. Metal and stone flew in all directions. The asteroid that held the station broke into 1,000 pieces, and somewhere in that destruction, the star-killing weapon was torn apart. Its threat ended forever. Target destroyed, Maria said quietly. Operation Burning Star is finished. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. The weapon was gone. Billions of lives had been saved, but the mission was not over yet. Captain, enemy ships incoming, James shouted. 50 warships coming fast. The Velthari defense fleet had arrived. They had been too slow to save the weapon, but they were determined to have their revenge. 50 warships against one. The odds were bad. Activate the phase drive, Sarah ordered. Get us out of here. The drive needs time to recharge. We cannot jump for another 10 minutes. 10 minutes. An eternity in battle. Sarah gripped her command chair and prepared to fight. The Velthari ships attacked with everything they had. Missiles and energy beams filled the space around the Prometheus. The human ship shook with each impact, but its armor held. Its shields absorbed the damage, and its weapons fired back with deadly accuracy. The battle was brutal and fast. Velthari ships exploded one after another. Human technology proved superior at every point. The Prometheus cut through the enemy fleet like a knife through paper. 5 minutes until the drive is ready, James reported. Keep fighting. We can hold them. More Velthari ships died, but more kept coming. The defenders of the homeworld had been called to battle. Hundreds of warships were now rushing toward the human vessel. 3 minutes. The Prometheus was starting to take damage. A railgun round broke through the lower shields. Fire erupted on Deck 7. Crew members fought to control the flames. 1 minute. An enemy ship rammed the Prometheus directly. Both vessels shook with the impact. Metal screamed against metal. The Velthari ship was destroyed, but it left a deep wound in the human hull. Drive ready. Jump now. The Prometheus vanished in another flash of blue light. The remaining Velthari ships fired at empty space, their enemy gone once again. The human battleship appeared back in Sector 7, battered but alive. The other galactic observers watched in amazement as the damaged vessel emerged from nothing. Captain Sarah sent out a broadcast to all ships. The weapon called Burning Star has been destroyed. The threat to the galaxy is over. Across the stars, this news spread like wildfire. On 100 worlds, people celebrated. The Torani Federation declared humanity a hero. The Syndicate of Free Worlds sent messages of thanks. Even the Draxians, who had once been humanity's enemy, admitted their respect. On the Velthari homeworld, Emperor Valthos faced the consequences of his actions. The Senate had finally turned against him completely. Angry citizens stormed the palace. Military commanders refused to follow his orders. In the end, the Emperor was arrested by his own guards. He was put on trial for crimes against the galaxy. The court found him guilty. He spent the rest of his life in a prison cell. Alone with his broken dreams, a new government was formed in the Velthari Empire. Young leaders who wanted peace took power. They signed treaties with all their neighbors. They promised to never build weapons of mass destruction again. The galaxy entered a new era of hope, and in the center of it all stood humanity. Captain Sarah Chen returned home as a hero. Her crew received medals and honors. The Prometheus was repaired and sent out on new missions. But everyone remembered what they had done. They had saved the galaxy. At a ceremony on Earth, Sarah was asked to give a speech. She stood before a crowd of millions, both human and alien, and spoke from her heart. When we first went to the stars, we found a universe full of danger. Many species saw us as prey. They thought we were weak. They thought they could conquer us easily. They learned the truth. She paused and looked at the faces watching her. But we did not learn to fight because we enjoy war. We learned to fight because we love peace. We learned to be strong so that we could protect the innocent. We learned to be brave so that we could face any threat. Her voice rose with emotion. Today, the galaxy knows what humanity stands for. We stand for justice. We stand for freedom. We stand against tyranny in all its forms. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. But we never stop trying to do what is right. The crowd cheered. Aliens and humans together, celebrating a new future. Let this be our promise to the galaxy. Humanity will always be ready to fight for peace. We will always stand with those who cannot stand alone. And we will never, ever let fear control our actions. Sarah stepped back from the podium. The cheering continued for a long time. Far away, in the empty space where the weapon had been destroyed, a single piece of metal floated among the debris. It was a small part of the Prometheus that had broken off during the battle. It drifted silently through the darkness, a tiny reminder of what had happened there. A reminder that when darkness threatened the galaxy, humanity had answered the call. One battleship, 3,000 brave souls, and a determination that nothing could break. The galaxy would never forget.